Jeter allegedly finds marijuana. Suddenly, with his daughter watching, the man erupts. The brutal attack leaves the officer sprawled on the pavement with head injuries and 14 broken bones. Luckily, a good Samaritan comes along to call for assistance.
Help, officer, down!
There's no such thing as a low-risk contact anymore. It's an unknown risk. I just talked to one of my former recruits that a couple of months ago pulled an individual over for expired registration. He ended up being involved in an officer-involved shooting.
Fortunately for Officer Jeter, no gun was used in this attack. Amazingly, she has recovered and returned to the force. And the suspect? He was apprehended within an hour and prosecuted thanks to the evidence caught on tape.
A lot of officers are now to the point where they're carrying microcassette recorders, audio recorders in their pocket. It's their word against yours. And what the video camera does and what a cassette recorder can do for you is provide you tangible evidence of what exactly occurred. You've got the next best thing to somebody being there and witnessing it. You've got it on tape.
Hilarious and hideous. The traffic stop is fast becoming one of the most emotional human dramas ever shown on television.
By the way, the driver you saw pulverizing that poor trooper got 60 years behind bars for his offense. Now, thousands of people walk their pets along park trails every day, but in one upstate New York park, a woman's walk with her best friend turned deadly. Barry Nolan has the story behind the doggy death traps.
Hi, Valentine.
This is the heartwarming home videotape Meg Massaro will always remember. Loving Valentine was her best friend, her companion.
Valentine was the great love of my life. Valentine was a once-in-a-lifetime event. I mean, she was... I don't know where I ended and she began.
Then, one day last winter, Meg and her dog were strolling through a state park in New York when tragedy struck. Valentine got caught in a metal-jawed death trap just off the walking trail.
I heard her start to scream. I jumped into the bush and saw Valentine sailing through the air with a bucket over her head. My husband and I worked frantically trying to spring this trap.
Less than 2 hours later, Valentine was dead.
If it were a humane way to die, it certainly wasn't humane to me to have to stand there and witness what I loved best in the entire world die before my eyes while I was completely helpless to do anything.
Imagine you bring your dog to the park for a frolic, and your best friend winds up dead. Each year, near picnic areas and walking trails, millions of household pets are murdered by what's called a conibear trap.
This is the type of trap that Valentine the dog was caught in. He stuck his head into a box which contained one of these traps, and it snapped shut across the back of his head. And Valentine suffered for about 20 minutes before he died.
The fur industry uses these killing contraptions to catch beaver and raccoon for their valuable coats. Shockingly, it is legal for them to place these traps in state and national parks.
These traps are all over the country. It's medieval. It's disgusting. Why in the United States of America in 1998 we could still allow something like this is beyond me.
When a cat or dog is killed by a snare trap, the heartless fur industry dubs them trash animals because they say their coats are worthless. Animal rights activists charge no one is safe from these murderous machines.
Companion animals such as people's dogs and cats can walk into the traps. A child could get caught in one of these traps. It's happened before. It'll happen again. They're non-selective. Whatever steps into them is caught.
Meg Massaro will never get her beloved Valentine back, but she is fighting to make these traps illegal so that other furry friends will not senselessly die.
I live with the memory of what I love best, writhing in agony, screaming and bucking in the air. But will at least bring me some comfort, and will at least, I think, settle the ghost somewhat, is if I know that other animals live because of her death.
State park authorities say they are now in the process of re-examining where the snare traps are placed and plan to try to keep them away from areas in which pets and children play. Now, maybe your mailman doesn't look forward to rain or sleet or snow, but some TV viewers are wild about bad weather, and the Weather Channel. Wild enough that they'll do practically anything to get their forecast fix. Doug Bruckner has the proof.
Hooked on hurricanes, tantalized by tornadoes, riveted by reports of rain. These channel surfers are addicted to watching the weather, and they're not alone.
The Weather Channel is the best.
It is the greatest.
The Florida women count themselves among the weather forecasting and reporting services superfans. People that actually watch the Weather Channel 6 to 8 hours a day. You may say, get a life, but they say...
It's really exciting. I mean, it's very now, very happening. You're looking at the world. The people that watch the Weather Channel are the type of people that used to watch boats in the harbor and wonder where they're going.
In the early days, TV critics found it, pardon the expression, too dry. One headline read, "The Weather Channel. When it rains, it bores." But now, big stars like comedian Bill Cosby are said to be devoted viewers. El Nino, flood and landslides in California pumped up the ratings. During the height of the storm season, the Weather Channel broadcast some of the most exciting footage on TV.
I have to fight with the children for the Weather Channel because I have 10 children. 10 children, thank God. And they always want to watch something.
The Weather Channel website claims 2 million hits a day. An advisory has run not to contact the 32 on-air personalities. Studio security has supposedly been tightened, and staffers reportedly have dubbed obsessed fans weather weenies. The channel plays weather fanatics for laughs in its TV commercials.
Who are those guys over there?
Oh, they're here every Friday. They're huge weekend outlook
Had become famous back in the 60s. But despite his handicap and the 3 decades that have passed, he's still proving to fans that he was born to be a wild child.
This song spoke to the generation of the 60s, an anti-authority song that was the soundtrack of the hippie movement. Now, 30 years later, it's still speaking loud and clear.
Born to be Wild was the first thing that, the icebreaker that kind of opened the floodgates.
Hard Copy caught up with John Kay, leader of Steppenwolf, after a recent concert. John spoke honestly about his career and the tragedies that he and Steppenwolf had to overcome.
The Wolf, over the years, lost certain important people. Our original producer, Gabriel Meckler, he was killed on a motorbike, in the mid-70s, and shortly thereafter, our original bass player, Rushton Murray, was also killed. But Jerry Edmonton, our founding drummer, was killed in a car crash Thanksgiving weekend. Andy Chapin, our second keyboardist, was killed in a private plane crash.
Not only has the group overcome the death of friends and band members, John also had to overcome a lifelong disability.
I'm legally blind. You get on with your life. You learn to work around it.
Despite his pain and loss, the Wolf, as John calls the group, still survived, and it can be directly traced back to the song that started it all.
They have a real broad age group of supporters. The younger faces are brought into the Wolf clan through Born to be Wild.
It's just cool. You just rock out to it. When Born to be Wild came on, I literally ran down to the stage. Out of my way. Yeah, it was great.
When that song came on the radio, everybody just rocked.
When you hear Born to be Wild, you just want to party.
And long before Steppenwolf made its mark, Carl Perkins made a name for himself as a father of rock and roll. And he may have hit even greater heights if not for a tragic turn of events. Barry Nolan has the story of the man many call the original Elvis.
Now go, cat, go, but don't step on my blue suede shoe.
In 1956, the late Carl Perkins sold more than 1 million copies of his song, Blue Suede Shoes, but no one knew who he was. Then Carl and his band were booked on a national TV show that promised to launch them into superstardom. The group left for the long drive to New York City.
Early that morning, the driver of their car fell asleep and ran into the back of a pickup truck. The man in the truck was killed instantly.
Carl was injured and the rocker's chance of fame was wrecked. Instead, Elvis recorded Carl's song and made his national TV debut. Carl was heartbroken.
Here was a poor guy, been poor all of his life, had shot to stardom, starting to make some really good money for himself, and then feeling like it had been taken away from him.
Elvis blasted into the stratosphere. Carl kept working with no idea his music was having massive influences far from his Tennessee home. On a trip to England, the Beatles sent for the man they respected so much.
Ringo came up to him and said, "Mr. Perkins," and he said, I stopped him right there. I said, son, my name's Carl. I said, now, my daddy's Mr. Perkins. I said, now, you call me Carl.
The Beatles invited Carl to join them at Abbey Road Studios as they recorded 3 of his songs, including Matchbox.
I ain't got no matches, but I got a long way to go.
I think he was overwhelmed with that. I really do.
Carl's friendship with the Beatles lasted the rest of his life. He visited Paul in the Caribbean and helped George fix his jukebox in England. Even Michael Jackson was a Perkins fan, once calling Carl to try to buy the rights to blue suede shoes.
At that time, him and Lisa Marie were married, and that he wanted to present her the publishing rights to blue suede shoes as a gift.
Carl refused to part with his anthem, leaving the rights to blue suede shoes to his family when he died earlier this year. The song may not have made Carl as big a star as Elvis, but it did make him happy.
Well, you can do anything but lay off my blue suede shoes.
There wasn't no more humbler guy than Carl Perkins. I mean, he was your friend. If you seen him, if you were a stranger, it was an instant smile, and it was genuine, man.
And it was a poignant, fitting footnote when George Harrison flew in to sing at Carl's funeral.
The most important 2 things in his life was his family and to have as many friends as he could have.
Honey, lay off of them shoes, don't you step on my blue suede shoes.
Monday on Hard Copy, the mystery that rocked Manhattan. An East Side millionairess disappears, and cops suspect a sinister mother-son team.
I began to feel that my life was in danger. I thought she was going to kill me.
Rejoin New York police investigating the real-life grifters. Monday.
Now, Lorenzo Lamas has been a television fixture ever since the series Falcon Crest. Well, tonight, Lamas has a new show and a sexy leading lady who also happens to co-star with him off the set. Terry Murphy reports on Lorenzo and Company.
We've shown you one of Hollywood's hottest couples at home. We've even taken you to the doctor's office to eyewitness Lorenzo Lamas' delicate surgery. Now this sexy twosome is flying high with a new TV show, Air America. And only Hard Copy takes you behind the scenes.
Action!
Lorenzo Lamas and his lovely wife, Shauna Sand, are teaming up with soapers Scott Plank from Melrose Place and Diana Barton from The Young and the Restless. But it's the couple's real-life chemistry they're hoping to transfer to TV.
I have to forget that I'm married to her and be my character and not be Lorenzo.
He's my best friend, but when he's watching me do this part, he kind of intimidates me a little bit.
Fans might wonder if their characters ever fall in love on screen.
It's death. The minute you become romantically involved with another character on the show, all the chemistry, all the tease, all the audience wondering what would happen if, it all goes out the window because you basically sold out.
Besides their new show, the Lamases are celebrating the new love of their life, their 6-month-old daughter, Alexandra.
She's precious. And whenever I work, I bring her with me.
Now that she's a mother and a working actress, guess those days of bearing it all for Playboy are over. That is, if Lorenzo has his way.
I think now that I'm a mom, he probably wouldn't want me to do Playboy. You know, I don't want to be typecast as just a playmate.
So the couple is going high-tech, branching out on the internet with their own website called LamasandLamas.com. Hey, if the shoe fits.
I mean, I would much rather be known as an attractive couple than an ugly couple.
New series, new baby. Lorenzo and Shauna Lamas are part of a new breed of sexy Hollywood couples facing life in a picture-perfect way.
I love you.
I love you, too. There it is.
Up next, meet the young women fighting for a shot at supermodel status. Finalists who might become the next Cindy Crawford or Naomi Campbell.
I'm just prepping our skin for the foundation and makeup. You get to see things that not every 14-year-old gets to see.
14-year-old Elizabeth Moreno hails from San Francisco and is one of the youngest competitors. She's just one of the lucky finalists flown to sunny Southern California for a week of primping, pampering, and pleasing a panel of judges.
I feel like a princess sitting in this chair.
And only Hard Copy is behind the scenes at the big photo shoot to find this year's hottest new look.
I've always thought it looked fun and exciting. I know now it's pretty hard work, but it's still fun getting to travel places and meeting people.
The girls, ranging in age from 14 to 18, will be judged on overall appearance, how they look in front of the camera, and, of course, style. It's the big break that can turn an unknown face into a supermodel.
Nude face with a deep lip. Just a fresh red lip.
LA Looks Search 98 sees what it wants and goes after it. Crystal Wash is last year's contest winner, and today is taking the international modeling community by storm.
I never thought I would be a model. I really didn't. I was just kind of a normal kid. One day a photographer picked me out of a mall and said, you know, you should model.
And it may not be long before we see the fine features of these fresh figures on magazine covers from coast to coast. And we'll have the winners of the Supermodel Search coming up right after this. And let's just say, you're going to be surprised. Stick around.
Upper hand. A raindrop or two in our future. Forecast at 11.
And that's Hard Copy Weekend for now. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Jerry Penacoli. We leave you with the winners of the LA Looks Model Search, a tie between a 16-year-old redhead and a 15-year-old blonde. Have a great weekend and good night.
The two winners of the LA Looks for You Search 98, Sarah Motley and Sarah Harmon.